Claire angrily said, "Dad, do you think I can believe it?" Jacob knew there was no sophistry, so he could only look at Charlie and said, "Charlie called me to go." After finishing speaking, he hurriedly winked at Charlie, which meant a good son-in-law. "Please help me carry this pot first." Charlie is also very human, and without hesitation, he nodded and said, "Yes, that's right. Dad is right. I really called him to drink." In fact, Charlie knew very well, anyway, he didn't drink any alcohol. Jacob drank dizzy. The more he said it was his own idea at this time, the less Claire would believe it. Sure enough, Claire stomped her foot and said angrily, "Dad, at this time you are still throwing the pot to Charlie. Can't you be a little manly?" Jacob said with a gloomy expression, "I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, I can't help it." After finishing speaking, he quickly said, "Oh, I'm really old, and I feel sleepy and uncomfortable after 10 o'clock. I will go back to my room and rest first." Claire wanted to stop him, but he ran away without looking back. In desperation, Claire looked at Charlie again, and said, "You too, I called you to ask you, and you said you were looking for a mahjong hall, but actually took my dad to eat and drink." Charlie coughed and said, "He said he was hungry and uncomfortable. I can't drag the old master hungry and run with me all over the street. In case of hypoglycemia and fainting, he might be vulnerable to danger." "Then you can't lie to me. Tell me the truth, couldn't you tell me that you two are eating?" Charlie didn't know how to answer at once, and felt that this matter was indeed not handled properly. The key is that Jacob could not be seen by Claire. If he knew this was the case, he really wouldn't go to the barbecue. So he could only apologize sincerely. "I'm sorry, my wife, I owe this matter to me. Dad said at the time that I didn't tell you, so I couldn't tell you on the phone." Charlie was not guilty at all when he said this. Anyway, the pot is tossed back and forth. Since the old man is not here, it is natural to throw the pot to him. Claire also believed Charlie's words, thinking that it must be Dad's idea, and Charlie was forced to be by his side and couldn't tell the truth to her. Although her anger had subsided a bit, she still felt very wronged in her heart, so she sighed weakly, and said with some emotional breakdown, "Charlie, my mother is missing now. My dad doesn't care. Neither will you. How would you let me find her by myself? If something happens to her, how will you let me live the rest of my life? I might not forgive myself until I die." Charlie hurriedly comforted and said, "Don't think too much about it. Mom will definitely not have an accident." Claire couldn't hear it at all, and waved her hand. "Forget it, I don't want to talk about this problem anymore. I will go back to the room and calm down." After speaking, she stepped up the stairs. Seeing her disappearing at the corner of the stairs, Charlie couldn't help sighing. It seems that Elaine is really hard to deal with. Can't kill, nor let her evaporate from the world. After he has suffered enough, he still has to let her come back. However, it is also very troublesome to let her come back. How can he make her shut up and not talk nonsense? Psychological hints? Not reliable. Because the side effect of psychological cues is that once this person starts to do things according to his own cues, his own consciousness will be lost. Just like Wu Qi, he implied that he had to add a meal every hour. When he added a meal, he was following his own psychological cues. At that time, he had completely forgotten himself and just wanted to eat. The more he eats, the better. However, once he was full and the psychological suggestion ended, he would regain his own consciousness. At that time, he was still himself, Wu Qi. So this is very embarrassing. If he gives Elaine a psychological hint that she can't talk nonsense, then this hint must always work. In that case, Elaine is no longer Elaine. She may be a lunatic, or a lunatic with no self-consciousness at all. So he has to make Elaine willingly shut up, not mentioning anything about his bank card. This technical difficulty is really big enough. After Claire left, in the huge living room, only Charlie and Elsa, who had not spoken, were left. Elsa has been waiting for an opportunity to be alone with Charlie, and finally waited, so she hurriedly said to him, "Charlie, don't be angry. She didn't intend to be angry with you, but the aunt was missing. Now, she is really anxious." Charlie nodded and said, "I know, I won't be angry with her, she is my wife after all." Hearing this, Elsa's eyes flashed with envy. She didn't understand that Claire and Charlie were just married in a fake marriage. Why did Charlie feel so passionate about her? Doesn't he know that this is just a scene? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel a little lost. Regarding appearance, she asked herself if she was not much worse than Claire. In terms of net worth, she is also a child of the Dong family of Eastcliff, much better than Claire. Moreover, I have expressed my heart to him a long time ago. I really love him and I sincerely hope to be with him. But why does he guard the woman who doesn't love him like this? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but ask Charlie with a grimace. Charlie, you should know what I want for you, but do you really have no feeling for me? Charlie couldn't help being a little big-head when he heard what she said, and said, Elsa, you are Claire's best friend, and Claire is my wife again, so I'm naturally the same as Claire. As a good friend, there are many good men in this world. You don't need to put your mind on me. I'm already married,